So around about November of every year, I think it's even before Thanksgiving now, you start seeing the Christmas stuff come out. Where you walk into Walmart and what is like the first thing that they want you to go gravitate to? And for me, I turn into like a sniper in World War II, and I'm looking for the white chocolate mint Hershey Kisses. I would eat a bag a night sometimes. And I wonder why I was pre-diabetic at one point. They put this out there and it comes out in November, and I just love it. I don't know why. It's one of my favorites. I guess everybody has their own favorite thing that they love to eat. And it always seems to come around November, December, right? So it's the winter months. And it's proven that time of year when it's cold and it's dark, we kind of go into, we're not bears, but we kind of go into a hibernation type mindset where we just shut it all down. We know a lot of comfort is coming. We got Thanksgiving, which is going to be great. A lot of food hanging around. We're going to have parties at work. We're going to have parties with our friends. There's so many things to celebrate. Christmas is coming up. A lot of birthdays towards the end of the year as well, statistically. You got New Year's. And I'll just worry about January, February when it gets there. But if you could really think back with me for just a second, just think back to January of this year or February, or just one specific January, maybe not this past January, where you just kind of were like, what just happened? The new year has begun and you realize you've put on a ton of weight. Your mind is all foggy. You're not where you want to be. You've done all the things you know you shouldn't have done when it comes to eating food, and your body is going to reflect it. It's like a bank account. You put money in there and you invest, you're going to see the dividends, the returns, the growth of your portfolio. That's true with your body too. Whatever you put in there, your investment in your body is going to show you your returns. And no one is after the growth of the body when it comes to fat. And it doesn't, I've always said this to my kids, it doesn't matter how you look. That's super superficial, and that's not something we should focus on. We do, and even I do. Of course, we all do. But what's most important about that is your energy levels, your health. And the most important in my mind is how it is in your mind. How does your brain work? The brain fog. It's unacceptable to me. I cannot live my life anymore feeling energyless, tired, confused, lack of energy, no clarity. And it comes from the things that you put in your mouth, the investment you made in your body with the things that you put in there via your mouth. So today we're going to discuss summer bodies are built in the winter. And we're going to try and position this episode where you can get the vision for you in your life. What could you look like in January, February, March, rolling into April, May, June? You take your shirt off, you put your new bathing suit on, you feel the energy, the glow of the summer, and you just feel wonderful. Clear mind, clear body, purpose, in control of what it is that you eat, and the impact that would have on everybody around you as well. Think about the glory of all that and how good it could be. And that starts now. It's the end of October. We're going into November, December. And this could be your year. This could be your moment where you can come out the other side of this a different person, feeling different. And if it's been a long time since you've put focus on this, or this time of year, you just kind of, whatever happens, and you have not been focusing on it, work with us on this one. We're going with you on this. We're not just Googling something here and reading off. We will be doing this. So do it with us. We'll be focusing on our nutrition, making sure that we come out on the other side of this year, going into 2025, with the summer bodies ready to roll in January and feeling great.
Yeah.
Summer bodies made in the winter. What do you think, Sean?
Transformation happens in the wintertime. Winter is coming. It's here. And it's who you need to become, the action steps that you need to take on a daily basis. Like you said, when that April hits, that May hits, that June hits, there's going to be two versions of you. There's going to be the version that says, I held myself accountable. I was a part of a walk club, run club. I signed up for a gym. I was in an online fitness community. I held myself accountable along this journey with my spouse, my team members, my friends, my family, because the picture, the visualization, the manifestation of June, because it's not if, but when that time comes,
Mm.
that version of you that has done these things that we're going to be going over today, because I'm super excited about going over with you in this winter season, because like Ewan said, you are not alone. We are all in this together. We struggle with a lot of the same things. If there's a brownie or a cookie in front of me, guess what I'm eating? I'm going to eat it. But I know summer bodies are built in the winter season. So these next 4 months, you can do it. I believe in you. We're going to empower you today, and we're going to give you some key points that I feel like that's set myself up for success in making it through the winter season. Because let's be completely transparent. It's so easy when you wake up in the morning, it's cold outside, you want to snuggle underneath the covers, you want to throw on a Netflix. It's easy to eat the croissant and the donut because we all go off of how we're feeling. Everybody else is doing it around us. Our family, our friends, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the holidays. We are doomed if we don't prepare in advance. And
Mm.
then my key point here is accountability. For me, it's holding myself accountable, having an accountability partner, and a community that's going to be able to hold me accountable. This can be run clubs. This can be a gym partner, your spouse. And like I said earlier, this can be a fitness community. And so one of the things that I did last year going into the winter months that helped me come out thriving in spring of May of 24 this year was I was influenced, I was inspired to sign up for a marathon in February of 2024 by my good friends Isaiah and Ewan. By signing up and saying yes to a marathon, we started our journey November, December, maybe even later than that. But I started mentally preparing for that. Now, what did this do? This did one of two things. One, I had accountability partners because if I saw them going out running, if I saw them sleeping, if I saw them tweaking their nutrition, guess what? I wasn't going to let them down because I'm going to be running the same marathon.
Mm.
That is an accountability to your partners. We showed up at the track. We put in the mileage. We put in the reps. And guess what? February of 2024, preparing in advance for this marathon allowed us and held us accountable to do these things and work on those summer bodies, eat right, nutrition, exercise. We were able to show up to this marathon in 2024 and run some of our best paces, hit our goals, hit our achievements. And by this time, the version of us that chose to go through the 3 months of holding each other accountable, putting in the reps, and signing up for something allowed us to shoot for that North Star. So my challenge to you listening to this, what can you challenge yourself between now and March of 2024 to make it through this winter months?
Yes.
What is that North Star? What can you sign up for? Maybe it's a 5K, maybe it's a 10K, maybe it's a high rocks competition, maybe it's your first marathon, maybe it's an ultra. What is something that you can sign up for? Hey, maybe it's a bodybuilding contest. Because when you sign up for that, you not only, that's accountability by exchanging monetary value. See, that's where the magic happens in coaching and mentoring and signing up for something like a marathon is when you swipe that card and pay that $200. That's where the transformation happens because now it's real.
Mm.
Now it's time to hold ourselves accountable through these winter months. Because if you don't, what's the alternative?
Default.
Default, bonk. You don't show up. But you listening to this, you're wanting to level up. You're wanting to live your best life. You're wanting to be 0.01% better. So what is that North Star that you can strive towards in March? Because once we are able to reflect back on that and go, oh, that's the key ingredient. That's what these people do. They build in these winter months because they have that North Star, something to strive and hold themselves accountable when everybody else around you is just living one day at a time.
Mm.
And you're falling into that trap of, you know what? Cookie's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
Croissant's not going to hurt. Well, doing that over the next 4 months, that other version of you is not going to like that person when you stare it in the mirror.
Because there is a lot of shame and guilt
Yeah.
No one likes the result. I know for me, it's like after I've eaten it, I'm like, the old saying, "A minute on the lips is a month on the hips." Like it just, you're like, why did I do it? I know
Yep.
it doesn't. Well, it doesn't serve me well. It doesn't make me feel good. Why did I just do that? And it is a momentary weakness of I want that thing right now for immediate gratification,
Yes.
and it just never pays you back. And we do it over and over. And then the worst part is when it's sugar spikes, it's addictive. It's very addictive and habit forming. And so it's tricky to break those habits. But when you said the signing up for something, I've thought about this a whole bunch recently. Putting a deadline on something helps you hone in on that moment. And it is its own form of accountability, whether you say it publicly to people, which some people really resonate. Hey, I'm going to go do a marathon. And then some people, as soon as they sign that line or they pay for that race, man, they're accountable to themselves,
Yep.
which is they're both equally valuable. However you do that for yourself, do that. And if you hadn't signed up for something before, I had never signed up for really any kind of anything before for us to think about it, not officially. Like
Yeah.
in the marathon was, I don't know why we were running, I was enjoying it. And I said to myself, in the past, I'd never run a marathon. It'd be ridiculous. But I was just going to surround myself in that environment, watch a lot of videos, people running marathons. I'm like, I'm going to sign up. And everything changed that moment. I signed up and I've never seen myself like hone in. I turned into not an exerciser anymore. I'd just been an exerciser up until that point in my life. Now I was in training. It's this whole different concept, whole different vibe of thinking that you just exercise to stay healthy versus a becoming someone who trains for an event. You're now an
Yes.
athlete,
Yep.
right? And it really shifts your mind. So if you've never signed up for anything before, maybe you're 250 pounds and you're 100 pounds overweight and you don't feel good, you've never done anything like this before, you don't have to go sign up for a marathon. Like Sean said, anything, sign up for anything, have courage, do a 5K, right? 3 miles probably sounds impossible to you right now. 0.1% every day, anything is possible. 0.1%. You'll be shocked. You go do a little 400-meter walk around your neighborhood, and then do another 400-meter walk, and then maybe you do a 400-meter trot, and then you turn that into, okay, now I'm going to do 800 meters and go a little faster. Over time, you now become something else. And so I think putting that deadline out there for yourself, that accountability, it will shift your mindset, help you focus, and it really gives you purpose. There's a reason
Yes.
to not eat that. Honestly, go ahead and eat the cookie. Go ahead and eat the donut because there's no purpose to not. Why? There's no
Yes.
real reason. So if there's not, give yourself a reason. That now eating that donut, that cookie is going to impact your performance, which you hadn't
Mm.
signed up for. Maybe you have a hope or a dream or a goal of maybe just completing. Maybe you have a time in mind. But when you have a reason, hey, I ate that donut, I'm now relating that to a slower time. I'm now relating to that, and then maybe I don't finish well. Maybe I don't sleep good now, which the lack of sleep is going to impact my training. And so you have a reason not to. And I think that's probably one of the biggest pieces of advice that if I could go back and tell myself, if I was trying to get somewhere fast, sign up for something and watch yourself morph into somebody else.
Beautiful said. I just want to go back and acknowledge what you said there because I think that was brilliant. I wish we could clip that. As far as there's two. Go ahead, eat the cookie. But what's the
Mm,
purpose? What's the vision? What's the why? And like you said, I resonated with that so much, Ewan. There never is. 100% of the time, I'm just doing it out of how I feel.
yeah.
When you have that vision of who the accountability to your community, to your partner, to yourself, and signing up for something and who you wanted to become, then you have that vision and purpose, which trumps the just
Yes.
eating the cookie,
Trumps.
right?
Brilliant.
So, one of my next key points that I want to drive home here that I feel like aligns with what we're with going into these winter months that's really helped me out. And again, I'm just a student of the game here. I'm learning and I'm
Yes.
sharing it with you who's wanting to level up and live their best life, just like me and you and are at Level Up and Live. We've learned what works, what doesn't work, and we're just simply students of the game and on this beautiful journey. The next key point for me has been a game changer. It's preparing your mental fortitude.
Mm,
Right now, you can listen to this podcast and go, yes, guys, I get it. I want to prepare. I want the summer body. I understand the visualization. I'll sign up. It's who I want to become. I'll put in the work behind the scenes. But what you need to understand is you've got to prepare that mindset. You've got to prepare that mental fortitude because This has been a hard lesson for me in my life in 37 years. And one of the things that's really hit me recently is this quote here. And this has been all over the web, and I'm sure you've heard it before. I'm not sure who said it. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Back in 2006, I was recruited to play SFA baseball on a scholarship. And I leaned in on my talents. I had played baseball my entire life, ever since I was a kid. That's all me and my dad focused on. And I was just a natural, God-given talent hitter. And I was recruited. I came on a scholarship. And one of the things that I did really quickly in college is that my nutrition was horrible, my sleep was horrible, and my exercising, I'll be completely transparent with you, I could probably barely bench 100 pounds in college. I could barely squat probably more than 150 pounds. I tried everything to get out of exercising, sleep, nutrition, and doing the things that I needed to do to become the baseball player for my team. It's all because of the lack of preparation. It's all because of the lack of mental fortitude and the accountability to myself. And if you're listening to this, I'm reflecting back, learn from my mistakes. Because if I would have prepared better, then who knows what the outcomes would have been my senior year in college of going on to the major leagues in baseball. Now, that was never a dream of mine, and maybe that's what sabotaged my preparation.
We've never discussed that before. That's
We haven't. I
interesting.
knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. But I think I sabotaged it because of the lack of preparation and the mental fortitude of holding myself accountable, because I was leaning on my talents. So here's my point here. Reflecting back and looking at things at 30,000 feet. I'm so mad at myself, guys. I'm so mad at myself. I'm so ashamed. The reason I'm sharing this is because I use it as productivity, because it just lights a fire underneath me, because I want to help you avoid the same failure that I made, which is not preparing through these winter months, through these times in our lives. Because looking back, it was a huge mistake. Just think if I would have been 1% better in my nutrition, my sleep, holding myself accountable on exercising, and actually preparing through those winter months and through that time in my life. Because there's two versions of Sean. There's the versions that having the conversation now, learning from his failures and mistakes, that's able to share that with you in hopes that you avoid the same failures that I did. And then there's the version that goes through that process. And maybe I'm not on this podcast today, but everything happens for a reason. But here we are today. And I'm an ultimate believer that you listening to this can apply that same preparation, because again, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So prep. This is winter months. This is the separator. This is the time to separate from and become that best version of yourself. Become that leader that you have always meant to be. You can do it. The possibility is there. I believe you can. It just takes this preparation. Start now. And if you need help, reach out to the Level Up and Live community. We are big on guiding. We're big on mentoring, and we're big on getting you to where you want to go. Ewan, what are your thoughts, brother?
Man, I love that you said the words self-sabotage, because I think it's in our DNA. I wonder where that comes from. Man, you even mentioned after that, like shame and maybe guilt, like and I think we self-sabotage ourselves in all different areas of life because of whatever has happened to us. Now food can definitely be a comfort zone.
Yes.
And what you do in one area of life is what you do in other areas of life, right? So you can look at, well, where have I self-sabotaged myself before? And if you have a clue of why you were maybe doing those things, addressing that, and then look at where have you self-sabotaged in the past with food. So because if you kind of have an idea of the data there, well, what is it that I did? Why did I do that? Or why did I not do those things? If you can kind of address that, it's really going to help you get your game plan together, like your battle plan of going into these months of how you can execute to make sure that you get what you want, right? Like to get what it is that you actually want, whatever that may be. And and having that conversation with your future self, to your past self, to your current self, of when you're in that moment in January, February, March, when you're like, why did I do those things? Don't have that conversation then, have it now. Go ahead and have it. Write it down on paper. Why
Yeah.
wait? You're gonna
Yeah.
have it anyway, right? So
Exactly.
have that
Exactly.
conversation, and I think also just like letting a little bit of the steam off of the Coke can, when you pop it, like the pressure is off. Schedule in the times that you're going to enjoy yourself. This is not a
Yes.
100% like I'm going to tighten everything down. Honestly, like I've learned that you just break if you don't plan in the good stuff too. Like my daughter's birthday was this past week. Got a delicious cake, and I consciously said I'm going to have some of that. In the
Yeah.
past, I would have just eaten it. I wouldn't have had a conversation at all, and I would have eaten all of it on my own. The kids go to bed. I'm gonna have extra slices. I've polished off whole cakes myself before. Like this is not like I'm not preaching to everybody else here. This is me in my life, right? I'll eat a pound of jelly beans in a whole row. Like I've done it so many times, and never once. If I was to ask myself, I'm so glad I ate a pound of jelly beans. I'm so glad I ate a whole cake. Well, I'm having that conversation with myself, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
never want to be in that realm again, but I will schedule in the good stuff, right? So planning, prepping, setting yourself up well. Where can you sabotage yourself? I think those are just key conversations to have. And why are you doing it? You're probably going to address some much bigger issues too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you build this identity. But man, it's shocking when you can control your food. If you can control that, your identity shifts as something much, much more. Where else can you control? It's one of those baseline things to me. Once you start controlling your food, which is very hard to do, you can then look at other things in life and say, man, I learned the skill set of controlling here, self-discipline, and I'm proud of myself. I respect. Where other areas of life does that start showing up? And it does. It really does. So this
Mm.
is compounding effect. So I think, yeah.
No, that's brilliant, man. Now you hit the nail right on the head. And I think everything else ties into what I'm also hearing is there's a difference between delayed gratification and instant
Mm,
gratification. And
yeah.
this applies in all areas of life. And so for me, one of the things that I struggled with over the years is I want it now. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, but I want that cookie now.
Mm,
It'll be okay. But I want that house now. I want that car now. I want to make that money now. I want to have that vacation now. We all want these things. And when I reflect back on all the decisions that I've made over time, is it's always been instant gratification. I've always said that. I remember my dad saying that all the time growing up. Hey, if I want something, I'll work my butt off and I'm going to get it
mm,
right then and there. And so I took that same mentality over in my from the childhood and said, yeah, absolutely. And I reflect back and I'm like, everything that I've ever purchased or owned, I'm like, because I wanted it now. And so I never understood the power of delayed gratification. And
mm,
so when you sacrifice comfort, which is what you're going to do when you're building this summer body in these next 5 or 6 months, the rewards, listen to me, the rewards will come,
mm,
not the other way around. When you
yeah.
purchase it now, when you eat that cookie now, when you eat that pizza now, and you're not delaying that gratification, it's a recipe for disaster. The reason I can say that and the qualified to say that is because I've experienced it. I've done both. I've done instantly gratification, just like I did in my SFA baseball story. Everything was instantly gratified. I wanted the canes at 11 o'clock at night. I wanted to go to a party. I didn't want to work out. Why? Because it wasn't gratifying. It wasn't gratifying. So, or it was gratifying is the reason I made those choices because it was the here and the now, Ewan.
Yeah.
If I would have delayed that gratification and didn't choose the canes and choose the healthy alternative because I had that North Star, because I had something that was holding me accountable or somebody holding me accountable. But because I didn't have that, I think that's the why is so important, Ewan.
Yeah.
And all these other things, life, feelings, thoughts, experiences, emotions, they start creeping up on you and you start making these decisions on instant gratification. And
Yeah.
so how you do one thing is how you do everything. So by delaying the gratification, it helps, you know, it helps me stay focused during the slow periods because winter building, whether it's investments, I think about crypto, right? Not to get off in the business world, but I think about crypto. Like people are just, oh my gosh, the world's falling down. Crypto's going down. Stocks are, all these other things. I'm sitting here going like, dude, this winter season.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking winter season.
Yes.
And so these are slow periods, the ups and the downs, the ebbs and the flows. It's the same thing in life, in nutrition, in leadership, in communication, in everything that we're working at, being a student of the game, understanding like there is going to be ebbs and flows. There is going to be slow periods. But not letting off the gas and keeping the momentum going is, for me, the key ingredient, and that you do that by delaying the gratification, tying it to the North Star, and taking one day at a time, that 0.01% better.
There's a physiological, biological response to everything that you just said too, like that gratification. It's we're looking for dopamine, we're looking for
Yes.
adrenaline, we're looking for the things that make us feel good, chemical response. And so, how can you short circuit that? If there's self sabotage, what's the opposite of that, right? It's setting yourself up well. And we did the food hacks a few weeks ago. That
Mm,
episode, for me, one of my go-tos. I know I'm going to be weak in the moment. Like you said, if that cookie's right in front of me, that brownie, it's much more likely I'm going to eat it. If I have a backup plan, like what is my alternate route that will stop me from doing that consistently, get something delicious that's healthy, that protein. Get protein in your stomach, and the hunger pangs will go away, and you'll also gratify yourself from that feeling that you were looking for in the first place. Instead of buying something for $1,000, maybe you just go spend $10, right? Like
yes.
it's still the chemical response of what it was you were looking for. You still get it, and you reduce the impact so that the damage is nowhere near as bad. And in this case, you're eating something protein that's healthy. Like you get yogurt with berries and fruit, and you add a little bit of dark chocolate on there.
Mm,
Bang! Now you're not eating the donut, or you're not eating the whatever, and you just saved yourself a world of hurt. So you set yourself up there. Yeah, you can go back to that episode, and we've got a bunch of things in there. But that's part of the strategy of building in winter, and that's true. You mentioned business there. They say the businesses that are built in winter, the toughest time, are the ones that
hmm
thrive in summer, right? They come out. But bodies that were built in the summer, or businesses that were built in the summer, when times get tough, they crumble because they don't
Yeah.
know what to do. It's the winter's curse. Everything keeps going up, and so when things go down, they don't know what to do. They're not prepared, and so I think that's no different than what we're talking about here. And again, I love that you said it earlier. We're students of the game,
Yep.
literally preparing. This is me and Sean preparing ourselves.
Yep.
We've got a lot of competitions coming up, and things that we want to achieve, and training we want to do. So we know the tough times are coming. The temptation is not going away. It's going to be there for us as well. So like I said at the start, come with us on this journey. We're going to be
Yes.
building our summer bodies this winter, and we're going to reap the benefits. We're going to, and again, it's not about looks. I mean, okay, great. It's if you want to look great, no problem, nothing wrong with that at all. But man, talk about just feeling good, feeling powerful, feeling strong mentally. There's no better feeling. If you're not strong in your mind, which all stems from food, what you put in your machine, you're either going to get rusty, or you're going to feel like a well-oiled machine that just loves life, energized, feeling good, impacting the world positively. What more could you want, right? Those are reasons right there to start building that summer body today.
Amen. Discipline is in the off season, folks. Motivation's going to dip, but this is where the discipline comes in, that North Star, that accountability, like we've already discussed. Stay consistent. You have the power within you. You must believe to achieve. You can do this. And one of the final thoughts is less distraction, more focus,
Mm,
dialing in on preparing what the mental fortitude that you need to get through these next 4 or 5 months, because it's not if, but when that temptation will hit, the cookie will hit, the tiredness, the fatigue. So making sure that you're preparing in advance to the individual and visualizing that April, that May. I've even talked to some of my team members, having them cut out a printout of the abs that they maybe want, or the body composition they maybe want. So because we are human beings, we want to visualize what we can look like and feel like and show up as like. And so all these key components we just wanted to share with you today on the Level Up and Live Up episode. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, we would greatly appreciate it if you share this with another individual that you know that wants to be 1% better than they were yesterday, that you know maybe they're an accountability. Maybe that's somebody that you can hold each other accountable. Maybe that's your spouse. Maybe it's a friend, business partner, team member. But summer bodies are built in the winter. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We hope that you see value. And if you don't mind, leave us a review on what you liked about the episode. And outside of that, level up and live.
Level up and live.